Horrible. The rich intelligent guys shouted in the open, body shaming her every time after school dismissed. And even called her the big for nothing when she didn't answer questions correctly in class. But they never knew that karma is real. What she did to them after a few years will shock you.
Favor held her books tightly against her chest as she walked out of the school gate. The sun was scorching, but the heat outside was nothing compared to the burning shame she felt inside. The moment she stepped onto the dusty road, she heard them again. Orobo! The loud voices of her classmates filled the air. She didn't need to turn around to know who it was. It was always the same group: Kunle, Emeka, Toby, and their rich, arrogant friends. They were the most handsome and popular boys in school, and their favorite hobby was making her life miserable. Big for nothing, Kunle laughed. Even with all that body, you still can't answer common questions in class. The group burst into laughter. Favor swallowed hard, her throat tightening. She had tried to ignore them for years, hoping they would get tired, but they never did. It didn't matter how much she studied, how hard she tried. To them, she was just the fat girl who didn't belong. She picked up her pace, trying to disappear into the crowd of students heading home. But Kunle wasn't done. Wait, wait, he called out, blocking her path. His deep brown eyes sparkled with mischief. You know, we should thank you, Favor. At least we never go hungry in school. Whenever we see you, we remember food. His friends erupted into laughter again. Tears stung Favor's eyes, but she refused to cry. Not here, not in front of them. She took a deep breath and walked past them, forcing her legs to move faster. She could still hear them behind her, mimicking the sound of heavy footsteps, pretending the ground was shaking under her weight. The humiliation was unbearable. She hated this school. She hated her body. Most of all, she hated how powerless she felt. When she got home, she rushed to her room and locked the door. As soon as she was alone, the tears came. She sobbed into her pillow, her body shaking with every cry. Why was she the one always suffering? Why did no one see past her size? That night, she stood in front of the mirror and stared at her reflection. She was tired of crying, tired of feeling small. One day, she whispered to herself, her voice trembling but firm, I will become someone they can never laugh at again. And with that promise, a fire was lit inside her, a fire that would change everything. The weeks leading up to the school prom were filled with excitement. Posters of the grand event were pasted all over the school, and students couldn't stop talking about their outfits, dance moves, and, most importantly, who they would attend with. Favor, however, kept to herself. She knew she had no business thinking about the prom. Who would ask her? She wasn't the type of girl boys wanted to be seen with. But everything changed one afternoon. She was sitting alone under a mango tree, reading her notebook, when a shadow fell over her. She looked up and saw Toby, one of the popular boys, standing in front of her. Hi, Favor, he said, flashing a smile. Favor blinked. Toby had never spoken to her nicely before. I was wondering, would you go to prom with me? He asked, scratching the back of his head as if he were nervous. Her heart nearly stopped. She looked around, expecting to see his friends hiding somewhere, waiting to laugh. But he was alone. He looked sincere. Me? She asked, pointing at herself. Yes, you, he chuckled. I've been watching you, Favor. You're different from the other girls. I like that. Favor's face burned. For the first time in her life, a boy was showing interest in her. It felt unreal. So, will you go with me? Toby asked, his eyes filled with expectation. Favor hesitated, then nodded slowly. Yes, she whispered. Toby grinned. Great. I'll see you there. He winked at her before walking away. For the rest of the day, Favor was in a daze. Could this be real? Was her life finally changing? She borrowed a beautiful dress from her cousin and got her hair done. On the night of the prom, she felt beautiful. For the first time ever, she entered the decorated school hall with a shy smile, looking around for Toby. Then she saw him, with his friends, laughing. Then Kunle picked up the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our prom queen, Favor." The hall erupted in laughter. Favor's stomach dropped. What was happening? Then she saw it, a massive cake placed on the stage. On it, written in bright red icing, "Orobo Queen of the Year." Toby and his friends were laughing hysterically. "Did you really think I liked you?" Toby sneered. "You? Come on, Favor, it was all a joke." The crowd roared with laughter. Favor stood frozen as her world shattered. Then she turned and ran, out of the hall, out of the school, out of the place that had made her life a living nightmare. That night, she made a vow. One day, they will regret this. Favor locked herself in her room for days after the humiliating prom night. She refused to eat. She refused to speak. Even her mother, who always tried to encourage her, could not reach her this time. Every time she closed her eyes, she could still hear the laughter. The way Toby and his friends had mocked her, the way the entire school had enjoyed her pain, she had been nothing but a joke to them. One evening, as she lay on her bed staring at the ceiling, a thought crept into her mind. What if they were right? What if she truly was worthless? What if she would always be the girl people laughed at? Tears slipped down her cheeks. But then, deep inside her, another thought. No. She sat up slowly, her heart pounding. "I refuse to let their words define me," she whispered. She walked over to the small mirror in the corner of her room and looked at her reflection. The pain in her eyes was real, but so was the fire burning inside her. One day, she said firmly, "I will become so successful that they will wish they had treated me differently." And that was the moment everything changed. The next morning, Favor woke up with a new determination. She pulled out an old notebook and wrote at the top of the page, "My plan for success." She wrote down everything she needed to do to change her life. 1. Focus on her studies and graduate with the best results. 2. Lose weight, not to please anyone, but to be healthy and feel good about herself. 3. Work hard to build a business and become independent. 4. Never allow anyone to make her feel small again. With each word she wrote, she felt stronger. She started waking up early to jog before school. It was difficult at first. She was out of breath after just a few minutes. But she kept pushing herself. She also started reading more, spending extra hours in the library, soaking in knowledge like a sponge. She refused to let anyone distract her. Kunle and his friends still tried to mock her, but this time, she didn't react. She ignored them completely, and that confused them. Why isn't she crying anymore? Emeka had asked one day, frustrated. Maybe she's finally accepted that she's big for nothing. Kunle had laughed. Favor had walked past them without a word. They didn't know that every insult only made her more determined. By the time she graduated, she had lost weight, earned top scores, and won a scholarship to study business. It was only the beginning. As she packed her bags for university, she looked in the mirror one last time and smiled. "They don't know it yet," she said to herself, "but I'm going to be someone they will never forget." University was a fresh start for Favor. No one knew her past. No one called her Orobo or laughed at her in the hallways. Here, she was just another student, but she wasn't ordinary. From the very first day, Favor set herself apart. While others focused only on lectures and social life, she had a bigger plan. She wasn't in school just to get a degree. She was here to build an empire. She studied harder than anyone else. If a lecturer recommended a book, she read 3 more on the same topic. But she wasn't just burying her head in books. She started noticing something. Students struggled with food. The cafeteria was expensive, and most students relied on instant noodles or skipped meals when their money ran out. That was her opportunity. Favor borrowed a small amount from her scholarship allowance and started cooking homemade meals in her hostel. She made jollof rice, beans and plantain, egusi soup, and other popular dishes. Then, she packaged them neatly and sold them at affordable prices. At first, only a few people bought from her. But then, word spread. Favor's food is delicious and cheaper than the cafeteria. She delivers to your hostel door. She even gives extra meat sometimes. In just 3 months, her small food business became the talk of the campus. Students lined up to buy from her, and soon, she hired 2 other students to help her cook and deliver. But Favor didn't stop there. She used social media to expand. She created a page for her business, posted daily updates, and even started offering discounts on special days. By her 2nd year, she wasn't just making pocket money, she was making real profit. She reinvested her earnings into buying better cooking equipment. She moved from selling from her hostel to renting a small kitchen near campus. Professors, non-teaching staff, and even people outside the school started ordering from her. People whispered about her. That girl is different. She's going places. But Favor wasn't doing this for praise. She had a bigger goal. Every night, before she slept, she opened her notebook, the one where she had written her goals years ago, and ticked them off one by one. Graduate with top results, in progress, but on track. Lose weight? Done. Start a business? Done. And growing. Never allow anyone to make her feel small again. She was getting there. She was becoming exactly who she had promised herself she would be. But the best part, she was just getting started. By her final year, Favor was no longer just a student. She was a full-blown entrepreneur. Her food business had expanded beyond the campus, and she was now supplying meals to corporate offices and events. She even hired full-time workers to manage orders while she focused on her studies. But she didn't stop at food. She had saved enough money to invest in another business, a clothing line. Favor remembered how people used to mock her weight and how difficult it was for plus-sized women to find stylish clothes. So, she created a fashion brand that celebrated all body types. She named it Fig Glam and started by designing and selling custom-made outfits. She posted pictures of confident plus-sized women rocking her designs on social media, and in just a few months, her brand went viral. Big influencers started noticing her work. Orders flooded in from across the country. Fig Glam wasn't just a side hustle anymore, it was a movement. One day, while scrolling through her business page, she saw a familiar name in her messages. It was Kunle, the same Kunle who had humiliated her at prom. Hey Favor, wow, I'm so proud of you. You're doing big things. Maybe we should catch up sometime. I'd love to take you out. Favor stared at the message and smiled. Not because she was happy, but because she had won. The same people who once laughed at her were now trying to enter her life again. And Kunle wasn't the only one. Toby, Emeka, and even some of the girls who used to gossip about her were suddenly interested in her success. They commented on her posts, sent her private messages, and even tried to act like they had always been friends. She ignored them. She had bigger things to focus on. As she prepared for her final exams, she made another big decision. She wasn't going to look for a job after school. Instead, she was going to focus on growing her businesses full-time. It was risky. It was bold. But Favor had spent years proving to herself that she could achieve anything she set her mind to. The girl they had mocked in secondary school was now a successful entrepreneur, a powerful woman, and a force to be reckoned with. And soon, the same people who had once laughed at her would be knocking on her door, not to mock her, but to beg for opportunities. She was ready for them.
What would you do to them if you were Favor? Watch the part 2. What she did to them will truly shock you.